So I'm Anthony Young. I'm a sales engineer, senior sales engineer for Kofax. I've been in this field about 10 years. I've been in BPM, selling BPM in the past. And right now we're focusing more of the digital robotic processing automation. So one of the things you'll notice, and we hear more about today, is you're talking about the Internet of Things, you got artificial intelligence, you got Uber driving the first car. The whole theme is talking about automations and how we want to be able to do that. So if you look at a typical office worker right now, you see these multiple with various data sources or applications that's happening, and the line of business people are using people to go ahead and bridge those particular gaps, because a lot of these systems and applications don't have APIs. So they're using people to bridge those particular gaps. So for Forrester, who's Clay, I think one employer, they define RPA as basically automating the workflow processes. So I like to more break it down into more singular, like more task-oriented, like some of the earlier speakers that talked about today. So this slide is kind of coincide with some of the speakers speaking today. So if you look at the core business, you're talking about ERP, CRM, high specialized. You're talking about then you got the middle part, the bpmNEXT, specialized software, and then you got the down on the bottom operational, and that's where you can see RPA takes place. If you see this slide build out, RPA is smart. That's part about digitizing the particular task and the workforce. What we are talking about is smarter, where we start adding additional product like OCR, capture, and everything else to build out the smarter aspects. If you look at this particular slide here, we're talking about some of the benefits of talking about the Kapow solutions. We automate acquisitions, cleaning a single view of the multiple data sources, automate process of replicating user actions. So this is how we foresee the future, and a lot of our customers are actually experiencing this right now, where we have humans and we also have unattended, what we call robots, that are actually doing some of the day in and day out work for everybody, where the humans, you saw some of this chart earlier, it's a very high level where the humans are actually making those decisions. And this is coming from experiences from Deloitte, Forrester, and Cognizant. Talk about some of the benefits you're talking about with robots. We're looking at 25 to 50% savings and as such. And these right here is RPA, which is Kapow. These are just standalone solutions without BPM. I want to focus that. But with BPM, we could further extend that actual BPM offerings. But these are some of the solutions that we're currently solving for our customers. So when we talk about intelligent RPA, this is in conjunction with the actual Kofax stack. If you look at the Kofax stack here, you're talking about the capture information, automating processes, management content, and transaction digitally, and you notice the robotics is horizontal. So that's where we talk about intelligent RPA. So what you're going to see today for the demo is we're going to go ahead and talk about a banking use case, which is a live use case, talk about customer due diligence. Know your customers is another words. Am I doing business with a good person, or not? Am I doing business with a bad person? So here is a typical BPM, which is our BPM process, to go ahead and initiate a process where I'm doing a new customer enrollment, or I'm updating existing customers, or I'm managing the recertifications, because you want to go through constantly to understand that those customers whom I'm doing business with. And this is with Kapow, where we're looking at all the various different data sources. We went out there and grabbed the information, and automatically comes back and say, hey, Google bad press search is failed. So because there's some other things that's happening. So to show you that this is the behind the scene, you see the actual typical workflow where you're talking about looping on checks, initiate the checks, wait, check on the status. So this is a combination of automation and human making that type of bridge, because all we're doing is providing the feedback. So what the Kapow Design Studio do is we go ahead and in the middle where we're talking about integrated browser, where the actual end user or business users just do a right mouse click and then automatically builds the workflow for you to go ahead and do that. So basically no coding that takes place. And then when you're happy with that, we promote that solution to our management console, which is our server technology, where we automatically wrap API, REST, and SOAP on the same robot. What that means is you build that robot once, you can go ahead and multiple reuse on that particular robot itself. We've also provide you with the actual dashboard that comes with it, monitoring the entire environment, and drill down the analytics with the actual robot itself, so you can see what's the performance of that particular robot itself. So with that, now we're going to go jump into the demo itself. Okay, so you saw the solution itself. This is your typical BPM. I don't know, I'm sure everybody here has a BPM engine right there already, right? So basically, you have your custom UI. You're going to go ahead and do some forms to fill out information. So I'm going to go ahead and simulate that. So here you are as a business user. So here we are, we're talking about new customer, updating customer, and managing recertifications. So one of the banking industries that they need to know is, from a compliance reason, is who are you doing business with? Currently, your customer is a good guy today. Tomorrow, he might be on the terror list. So now you want to make sure you're able to go ahead and find out on a regular basis if they are turned into a bad guy, then you got to go ahead and report them or terminate the account. Otherwise, it's a hefty penalty to pay. So here, we're going to go ahead and click on the new customer. So I'm going to enroll a new customer, for example. And I'm going to put you in Mary Smith. And I'll just put you in my address. Boy, these cap locks. Anyway, you can tell my type. I need a robot to help me type. So right here talks about the verifications. This is where the humans that takes place, right? I can go ahead and automate this automatically. I can do all these checks automatically, but I want to give the end user a selection. Say, hey, in this case here, I might want to check if it's appropriate to look at the UK, maybe the UN. I want to look at the Google bad news, or I need to go ahead and look at the Interpol, right? If it's a US, I might not look for the Interpol, but if it's an international client, I might want to do that. And I might already have a local database that I've already kept the customer reference data lookup. So I can go ahead and click all those and initiate that. So now what it's doing now, the robot's going out there, gathering all the information, going on the various sites and grabbing the information. Meanwhile, I can go ahead and do something else. Now I can go directly to the task list, which waits for the activity, or I'll just go ahead and typically just wait for an email to go ahead and appears for me to jump in. So in this case here, I'm going to wait for the email. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the send and receive. Refresh, give it a couple more seconds to go ahead and do that because there's a lot of things that need to go ahead and grab. There we go. So here you see the updated case. So now it says that I'm done. I did all my search. So you want to look at the results. So click on the link. I'll go onto the link. It goes back into my login screen. Go to the business users, and I'll go directly to the task list. Your BPM engine would be your work queue, whatever that may be. And then notice right here, you see the actual results, and you see the business users here. I click on the actual review results. And then notice that it went through all of those, and then you got bad news. Okay? So if you want to look at the process in our BPM engine, we'd be able to give you the capability to look in to the actual status of that particular process. So you can see that within this particular process, this is where it's highlighted. This is where we are, reviewing results. Okay? And going back to here, so now I'm going to drill down into this particular fail. I want to view those results coming in from that search. And notice that's right here, you'll see the actual Google search to come back in with all the bad news. Okay? And then I can review one of them at a time to figure out what they are, to see, and scroll down. These are all the results coming from Google to bring back live for you. And then at this end here, I could go ahead and manually override it by saying, hey, this is a pass, and I can give it reasons as Mary Smith is not the same person. Okay? And hit save, and then I'll go ahead and complete the actions. Okay? So that kind of completes the overall process itself. So let's take a deeper dive into what that looks like. So first thing I'm going to show you is go directly into the Kapow here. So this is the actual Google search. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'll go directly to Google search. Where is that Google search? Oh, right here. Okay, let me do that. So basically, I just did the same thing here. Let me go ahead and paste that information there. Let me copy this. So this is the syntax for the search. I'll copy it, paste it in there, and then hit search. So the robot just basically entered that information for the search and pulls every single result coming back. It also provides you with pagination. So if it's multiple pages, automatically grab all the information, put it in the repository for you. Now, can you imagine a human doing this and a pretty mundane task, right? So anyways, so that's what the robot does. So now let's take a look at what the robot is actually built, what it looks like. Notice that it's exactly the same page, where we could just do a right mouse click here. I could enter text from a variable. So in this case here, it'll be the search input search string, which is basically the Mary Smith. And then notice up here, automatically builds the work step for you automatically without any type of scripting that takes place. So if I click on the next step, it automatically execute everything up to that point. So if I continue on, moving on to the next step at a time and keep going, you'll see the actual information is being extracted. So now you see this right here, extract the URL. And if I click on the results here and expand this, you'll start seeing these variables being populated here as soon as I execute that particular step. And you notice this right here highlighting. It's basically I'm training the robot to tell him what to do, what the information I want to grab, and extract the information and populating that information. Okay, see that? So when I'm happy with this, I go ahead and promote this solution up to our management console, which I call the server mode. And you'll see this here. Let me show you. So this is the server mode right here. So this is the Google search robot that we looked at earlier. So I can go ahead and create a schedule. If you have a repeating information that I can look at the database, for example. Come on. Okay, so I can go ahead and go into the APIs. So you can go ahead and copy and paste this into your Java code or your C# code if you want to invoke the same robot. Or I can go ahead and call this as a REST. Okay. So again, back in here is the input text. Something's going on with my VM here. The text. Sorry here. Okay, and then I'll hit the test service. Now basically just being invoked into the REST service. Notice I don't have to do any type of coding, any type of wrappers to go ahead and build in REST. So what that means is that we can further extend your BPM engine if you want to use our particular product to extend that particular search. Okay, and then we'll also provide you with SOAP if you want to. So if you want to execute this in SOAP, we can do that as well. So what does that mean? We also give you a capability to encapsulate that into our portal. Our portal, basically, a robot is like a portlet so that you can go ahead and invoke the robot that way too. So that an end user on demand can go ahead and invoke it. And it doesn't have to be a Google search. They just put in whatever the search parameter. And you might be swapping that out. Okay, I'm going to swap out Google search with maybe Bing or some other things. But the end user would not need to know what that is. So now I can go ahead and commoditize whatever the search is. Now the end users are able to go ahead and look at the same results coming through. Okay, that makes sense? Okay, so now with that, now what we're going to show you is directly to the actual robot here. So this is the BPM engine. How do we invoke that robot? So here we are. We have a built-in within our particular product here so that you can just go through the configuration. Okay, I need to refresh this because it's been timed out. Give me a minute here, sorry. Yeah. Okay, this is our BPM product, which is called Total Agility. And go to Google search. Okay, click on that invoke search robot, and we're going to click on this, and then we'll just go directly to configurations. Notice it tells you kapow. It basically, based on that the REST service that we built, it automatically interrogated, bring you back all the payloads for both input and output coming back. Okay, so that's how we'll be able to go ahead and further extend your BPM engine if you want to do that. I believe, in my personal opinion, BPM will only carry so far, which basically up to a point where if there's a system that does not have an API, you're pretty much stuck there, right? You got to put a person there to handle some of those particular tasks. Whereas with kapow now, you can either further extend that automation that takes place. So with that, I end, and I'll open up to any particular questions.